Bartleby Montclair of Dresden. Everyone across the land knows this name. And they should. For he is the emperor of the Western Kingdom. The most powerful kingdom in the entire continent. All other kingdoms can only dream of being as powerful and beautiful as it is. Bartleby is a beautiful man. With golden hair that flows in the wind and big-ass muscles. In fact, he is so beautiful that some people who have never seen him in person, don't even believe he exists. But he does exist. And he is fucking sexy. Legend has it that he has the power of God. No, beyond that. That he is beyond even God himself. Very few know, however, that this is more than just legend. This is fact. Bartleby's bitch, Sonic the Hedgehog, knows that it is fact. Because he's with Bartleby every fucking day of his life. He loves him with all his heart. Bartleby too loves Sonic. They love each other so much that they would give the world for each other. They have butt sex almost every night. Chapter 1. Today was a very special day. It was apple harvesting day. Apple harvesting day is the one day of the year where Bartleby and Sonic leave their empire and walk across the land picking apples from high up out of trees, and handing the apples out to poor people. Since Bartleby is so rich, he doesn't eat apples. Only golden apples, which Bartleby gets from the mythical realm of Valhalla. Which he bought 2 years ago cause he's so fucking rich. However, while this is a joyous day for the people of the Western Kingdom, it is a very dangerous day for the Emperor himself, Bartleby, and his bitch Sonic. On apple harvesting day, no one works, so there are no soldiers there to protect Bartleby and Sonic while they out of the kingdom. This is especially dangerous for Sonic, who, unlike Bartleby, isn't strong enough to protect himself should anything go wrong. But Sonic doesn't care. As long as he can be with his lover Bartleby, that's all that matters to him. As Sonic and Bartleby made their way down the trail, Bartleby groped Sonic's ass with great force. Sonic blushed at this and blushed even harder when he looked over and saw a bunch of kids pointing at giggling at the couple. Sonic took some apples out of the basket they were carrying, ran over and gave the kids apples. And then, something terrible happened. The kids tried taking more than Sonic offered. Which was against the rules of the kingdom. So Sonic stabbed one of the kids with his spear, which caused the rest of the kids to run away screaming like little bitches. Sonic called out to Bartleby with all his lungs. "They're getting away, Bartleby. You have to do something." And Bartleby did do something. He pulled out a pistol and popped a cap in each of their asses. After making sure each of them were dead, Bartleby and Sonic continued on their way to hand out more apples to the actual good villagers. The ones who deserved them. Chapter 2. As Bartleby and Sonic walked down the trail, they were holding hands. Every now and then Sonic would pick a flower from the ground and give it to Bartleby. Where Bartleby would proceed to put it in his flower basket he had tied around his waist and was hanging down near his sweaty butt crack. Sonic loved flowers. Bartleby didn't care for them too much, but if his bitch loved him, then well, he loved them too, of course. Anything to make his bitch happy. As they walked, Sonic looked over and saw the most beautiful flower he had ever seen. Half of it was blue, and half of it was yellow. Almost as if it were a flower that symbolized their love symbolized. Sonic immediately ran over and bent over to pluck it from the ground. As he was bending over, his ass was in full view for Bartleby to see. Dear God, did Bartleby want to ravage that ass right now? And he was going to, before he heard a noise. And then Sonic heard a noise. They looked to each other to make sure they both heard it. And then, it happened. Chapter 3. Sonic ran back over to the trail and hugged Bartleby, frightened about what he heard. He didn't know what it was, but it scared him. They both looked off to the north where they heard the sound. They heard it again. And again. Bartleby, being the almighty being that he was, knew exactly what this was. Footsteps. And then, on top of a hill appeared a huge group of people. All with weapons. Bartleby knew right away who this was. It was the Eastern Kingdom's entire military of over 5 million people. All here to try and kill Bartleby. Sonic was so scared. He latched onto Bartleby and cried like a baby. Bartleby hugged back even harder to comfort his lover and show him that everything was going to be alright. Suddenly all 5 billion people drew their swords and began running down the hill towards the two lovers. The people in back fired arrows. They flew through the sky. But since Bartleby was so fast he dodged all the arrows with ease, even catching a few of them with his bare hands and throwing them back at the people who shot them in the first place, killing them instantly. Bartleby heard a scream. He turned around and saw that one arrow had pierced through Sonic's arm. It wasn't a fatal wound, but to someone not as strong as Bartleby it must hurt like hell. Bartleby became furious. He realized that the Eastern Kingdom planned all of this. They knew Bartleby and Sonic would be out of the castle today due to the apple harvest and everything. Bartleby looked at his bitch. Tears began to show in Sonic's eyes, and in that moment Bartleby snapped. Chapter 4. You can destroy Bartleby's kingdom. You can ruin apple harvesting day. You can kill his people. But if you hurt Sonic, dear God, if you hurt him, you're going to be fucking dead. Bartleby ran over to a tree and ripped the entire thing out of the ground. The people running down the hill all suddenly stopped, and once they realized what they were getting into, they all turned and ran in the opposite direction. But it was too late. They made their choice by harming Bartleby's bitch. Bartleby swung the tree back and forth, killing 10 through 20 people with each swing. After the tree couldn't take any more force, Bartleby tossed it aside and picked up another tree and used that one instead. And again. And again. After he was all out of trees, he pulled apples out of his basket and threw them at people with such force, that it blew their heads off and shit. He threw one so hard in fact that it went through 62 people before eventually disintegrating from the friction at which Bartleby threw it. Eventually they were all dead. All 5 billion of them. Afterwards Bartleby went back over to make sure his bitch was alright. And he was, thankfully. When he saw Sonic, he was surrounded by family. His siblings Sonia and Manic, his mom Queen Adelina, and his uncle, Uncle Chuck. They all made sure Sonic was patched up enough so that him and Bartleby could have sex at the end of the day. The end.